Welcome to vSkills YouTube channel. In this video, you will learn about the top interview questions for Scrum methodology. So, let's get started. Question number 1. What do you understand about Scrum? The answer is: Scrum refers to an agile framework that can help teams work together. This allows teams to learn from experiences, self-organize while working on problems, for reflecting on their victories and failures, and to make improvements. Question number 2. What are the various roles in Scrum? The answer is: Scrum has 3 roles. First, product owner. The product owner refers to an individual who is responsible for expanding the ROI by determining product features. They prioritize these features into a list and focus on the upcoming sprint. Second, Scrum Master. This individual helps the team in learning to apply Scrum for ensuring the best business value. The Scrum Master removes barriers, guards the team against distractions, and allows them to adopt agile practices. Third, Scrum Team. They are a group of individuals who work together for making sure that the requirements of the stakeholders are delivered. Question number 3. What are the duties of the Scrum Team? The answer is: the Scrum Team checks that the working products must be developed and delivered during each sprint. They are responsible for maintaining ownership and transparency for the work allocated to the team members. Next, they verify that the correct information must be provided for a successful daily Scrum meeting. Lastly, they work together within a team for achieving the outcome. Question number 4. What is the difference between Scrum and Waterfall? The answer is: in Scrum, the feedback from the customer is received at an early stage, whereas in a Waterfall, the feedback from the customer is received towards the end of the development cycle. Secondly, accommodating the new or changed requirement in Scrum is easier than the Waterfall. Thirdly, Scrum focuses on collaborative development, whereas in a Waterfall, the whole development cycle is divided into phases. Next, it is possible to roll back the changes in Scrum than in Waterfall. Lastly, there is a testing phase in the Waterfall but not in the Scrum. Question number 5. What are the 3 ceremonies performed in the Scrum? The answer is: there are 3 major ceremonies executed in Scrum. First, planning meeting. In this, the full Scrum teams along with the Scrum Master and product owner meet for discussing every item from the product backlog that they can work on in the sprint. Second, review meeting. In this, the Scrum team illustrates their work done to the stakeholders. Third, retrospective meeting. In this, the Scrum teams along with the Scrum Master and product owner meet for retrospecting of the last sprint they worked on. Question number 6. What is the backlog grooming meeting? The answer is: backlog grooming is a regular session where backlog items are discussed, reviewed, and prioritized by product managers, product owners, and the rest of the team. The primary goal of backlog grooming is to keep the backlog up to date and ensure that backlog items are prepared for upcoming sprints. Question number 7. What is the process for creating the burndown chart? The answer is: a burndown chart refers to a graph that displays the estimated and actual effort of the Scrum tasks. This can be considered as a tracking mechanism by which for a particular sprint day-to-day tasks are tracked for verifying check whether the stories are progressing towards the completion of the committed story points or not. Question number 8. What is the process of a sprint review and retrospective? The answer is: during sprint review we walk through and illustrate the feature or story implemented by the Scrum team to the stakeholders. And, during the retrospective, our major aim is to identify what went well, what could be done better, and action items in a collaborative way for having continuous improvement. Question number 9. What is the role of automation in Scrum? The answer is: automation plays an important role in Scrum. That is to say, for having continuous feedback and ensuring the quality deliverables, it must be good for implementing TDD, BDD, and ADD automation methods during development. Moreover, automation in Scrum is related to testing as well as all aspects of software development. Question number 10. What is the DoD process? The answer is: DoD stands for definition of done. This can be achieved when: firstly, the story is development complete. Secondly, the QA is complete. Thirdly, the story meets and satisfies the acceptance standards. Fourthly, regression around the story is complete. Lastly, the feature is eligible to be shipped or deployed in production. Question number 11. What do you mean by the term epics? The answer is: Epics can be considered as equivocal user stories that are not specified and are kept for future sprints. This can also be defined as a big chunk of work that can be split into smaller user stories. However, the epic can be expanded across sprints and agile teams. Further, this can be a high-level description of what the client wants, and accordingly, it has some value linked to it. Question number 12. What will you do if the product owner comes with a new requirement while you have completed working halfway in the sprint? The answer is: in an ideal case, the requirement becomes a story and is transferred to the backlog. Then, depending on the priority, teams can take it up in the next sprint. However, if the priority of the requirement is high, then the team will have to assist it in the sprint. But, here, it is necessary to communicate with the stakeholder that incorporating a story the halfway of the sprint can result in spilling across a few stories to the next sprint. Question number 13. What if you get the story on the very last day of the sprint for testing and there are defects? What will you do? The answer is: a story is done only when its development and QA are completed with meeting the acceptance criteria and finally eligibility for shipping into production. However, if there are defects, the story is partially done and not completely done. The best possible solution here is to spill it over to the next sprint. Question number 14. What is agile testing? The answer is: agile testing can be considered a practice depending on the principles of agile software development. This contains all members of an agile team with defined skills and certain expertise for ensuring the timely delivery of a product with the release of additional features at frequent intervals. Question number 15. Compare extreme programming with Scrum. The answer is: Scrum teams have to work in iterations that are called sprints. These sprints last up to 2 weeks to 1 month long. And, in extreme programming, team works in the iteration that lasts for 1 or 2 weeks. However, in extreme programming, teams are more flexible as they can modify their iterations. But, in Scrum, teams do not allow any modification in their iterations. Further, in the Scrum, the product owner prioritizes the product backlog, but the team decides the sequence in which they will develop the backlog items. And, in extreme programming, the team works in strict priority order. Features developed are prioritized by the customers. Question number 16. What do you mean by lean methodology? The answer is: the lean software development technique follows the principle of just-in-time production. This focuses on increasing the speed of software development and reducing costs. However, the idea of lean is to lower non-value-added activities like wastes for increasing customer value. Further, the agile process itself is a lean technique for the software development lifecycle. Question number 17. What do you know about Kanban? The answer is: Kanban can be considered as a tool that helps the team to keep a close eye on the work for measuring its progress. Using the Kanban board, the status of a development story can be smoothly explained. Further, the Kanban board assists in writing the complete scenario of a project in a single place for providing a perfect picture of the bottleneck, a task done, workflow progress. This also helps in the continuous delivery of the product without overburdening the team. Question number 18. What do you mean by incremental and iterative development? The answer is: the iterative methodology refers to a process of software development with no interruption. In this, software development cycles containing sprint and release are repeated until the final product is obtained. Whereas, the incremental model refers to a process of software development where the product is planned, implemented, and tested incrementally until the product is finished. This requires both development and maintenance. Question number 19. What do you understand about pair programming? The answer is: pair programming can be defined as the combined effort in the team where one programmer writes the code and the other one reviews. This helps in improving the quality of code and facilitates knowledge transfer. Further, it also lowers the chance of mistakes while working simultaneously on a code. Question number 20. How will you say if someone is a good agile tester? The answer is: an agile tester must have the qualities like: firstly, they must be capable of understanding the requirements quickly. Secondly, they should be aware of all the agile principles, concepts, and values listed down in an agile manifesto. Thirdly, they should have skills for prioritizing the work depending on the requirements. Lastly, they should have excellent communication skills to interact with business associates, developers, and testers for the agile development process. Question number 21. What are the agile testing principles? The answer is: some of the principles of agile testing are: first, Provide continuous feedback. Second, deliver value to the customer. Third, enable face-to-face communication. Fourth, have courage. Fifth, keep it simple. Sixth, practice continuous improvement. Seventh, respond to change. Question number 22. What do you understand about Zero Sprint and Agile? The answer is: Zero Sprint can be considered as the first step that comes before the first sprint. In other words, this is a pre-step to the first sprint. This contains a host of activities that are to be completed before starting a project, including setting up the development environment, preparing backlog, and other such tasks that are commonly done before beginning the actual development process. Question number 23. What is the absolute duration of a Scrum sprint? The answer is: the duration of a Scrum sprint or the Scrum cycle primarily is based on the project size and the team working on it. That is to say, a Scrum team may consist of 3 to 9 members and it takes about 3 to 4 weeks for drafting and completing a Scrum script. So, the average duration of a Scrum sprint can be 4 weeks. Question number 24. What do you mean by Scrum Poker technique? The answer is: Scrum Poker is also known as planning poker, which refers to a card-based estimation technique that is based on a general agreement. For starting it, the Agile user story is read either by the customer or the owner and the estimator understands its features. After that, every estimator has planning cards with different no on it like 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8 and so on. These values on the card are absolute days or story points. Then, the estimator chooses cards depending on their estimation by discussing features set by the product owner. However, if a common value is selected, it is an estimate, and if not, then they discuss their maximum and minimum estimation. Question number 25. What do you mean by sashimi? The answer is: sashimi is a Japanese word that means a pierced body. However, in Scrum methodology, this states that every phase of the software development cycle in a sprint, which covers the requirement analysis, planning and designing, development, testing, documentation, is complete or not and the product is ready to be displayed. Question number 26. What do you mean by impediments? The answer is: impediments can be defined as any hindrance which stops the smooth flow of work or due to which the team is not able to execute its task in a better way. Question number 27. What are some of the Agile frameworks? The answer is: some of the Agile frameworks are Scrum, Kanban, feature-driven development, and test-driven development. Question number 28. What do you mean by DSDM and ASD? The answer is: DSDM stands for Dynamic Software Development Method, which focuses on the full project lifecycle for ensuring good governance. This is user-driven and believes that changes to the project are always expected. Moreover, it provides a complete roadmap for delivering products on time and within budget. ASD stands for Adaptive System Development, which represents the idea that projects should always be in a state of continuous adaptation. This contains the cycle of 3 repeating series, which are speculate, collaborate, and learn. Question number 29. What is refactoring? The answer is: refactoring refers to an activity that involves alteration or change of the internal structure of software without affecting its external behaviors or functionality. Here, developers make some changes with code for enhancing and improving the internal structure of software. Further, the refactoring process makes the code more readable, understandable, and clean. Question number 30. What do you understand by sprint review and retrospective? The answer is: during sprint review we walk through and demonstrate the feature or story implemented by the Scrum team to the stakeholders. On the other hand, during retrospect, we try to identify in a collaborative way what went well, what could be done better, and action items to have continuous improvement. For more such videos, subscribe to our channel.